there was something different about music in the 1980s. Back then, songs didn't just top the charts. They started arguments, they terrified parents, they angered politicians, and sometimes they changed history.
You know we tried to reach you before you make us cry.
This was the decade when MTV exploded into our living rooms, when rock stars became rebels, and when one controversial song became so shocking, it helped create a warning label still printed on albums to this very day. But here's the strange part. The more people tried to silence these songs, the louder they became.
More than 200,000 thronging the mall, a crowd that is bigger than ever the blight of racial inequity. By 11:30, there are...
Welcome back to Retro Replay. Today, we're counting down the songs that shocked the 1980s, the tracks that sparked outrage, censorship, lawsuits, bans, and cultural panic. Some were misunderstood, some pushed boundaries, and some, well, some may have gone too far. Let's rewind the clock.
Please subscribe.
Number 15, Physical, Olivia Newton-John, 1981. Nobody saw this coming, not from sweet, wholesome Olivia Newton-John. After charming audiences in Greece, America saw her as the girl next door. Then suddenly, she told everyone to get physical. And just like that, America panicked. Some radio stations banned the song outright. Critics called it inappropriate. In places like Utah, it was labeled immoral, but controversy only made it bigger, much bigger. Physical spent an astonishing 10 weeks at number 1, becoming the biggest hit of Olivia's career. Funny enough, today, the song feels playful, almost harmless. But in 1981, it sounded downright scandalous, and that was only the beginning. Because if Olivia shocked listeners with suggestion, the next artist turned heartbreak into rebellion.
Number 14, Love is a Battlefield, Pat Benatar, 1983. Some songs entertain, others empower. Pat Benatar's Love is a Battlefield did both.
We are young, hot, no promises, no demand.
On the surface, it sounded like another unforgettable 80s anthem. But beneath the synthesizers and dramatic vocals was something deeper. Strength, freedom, resistance.
We are strong.
Its iconic music video showed a young woman escaping abuse and standing up for herself. Some critics called it too feminist. Others missed the message entirely. But millions of women understood it immediately. This wasn't just a love song, it was survival. And in the 1980s, that message felt revolutionary. But while Pat Benatar fought emotional battles, the next artist challenged society itself. Number 13, You Spin Me Round, Like a Record, Dead or Alive, 1984.
I come. Watch out here.
The 1980s loved spectacle, and nobody embodied spectacle quite like Pete Burns. Big hair, heavy makeup, fearless confidence, and absolutely zero apologies. When You Spin Me Round exploded onto MTV, audiences didn't know what to think. Some stations hesitated to embrace the band's bold image. Others couldn't look away. Burns shattered expectations of masculinity and gender presentation long before mainstream culture caught up. At the time, it felt controversial. Today, it feels fearless, proof that sometimes Being different is exactly what makes history remember you. But if image alone could stir controversy, wait until lyrics entered the conversation. Number 12, Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, 1983. At first, it sounded like just another synth pop anthem. Then listeners started paying attention to the lyrics. Suddenly, the BBC wanted nothing to do with it. Relax was famously banned from British radio after concerns over its sexual themes. The DJ reportedly stopped the song mid-broadcast after realizing what it implied. That should have killed the track. Instead, it made it unstoppable. People became curious. Clubs embraced it. Fans turned it into an anthem of freedom and expression. And ironically, the attempt to silence it only made it louder. Funny how that happens. But while Frankie Goes to Hollywood faced scandal over suggestion, the next band sparked controversy over language. Number 11, Money for Nothing, Dire Straits, 1985. Sometimes, a single lyric changes everything. Money for Nothing began as satire, a sarcastic jab at celebrity culture and MTV excess. But buried inside the song was a slur that aged badly, very badly. Years later, radio stations edited it. Some countries restricted it entirely. Fans argued endlessly. Was it satire or something more harmful?
That's the way you do it. So money for nothing.
Even decades later, the debate still hasn't disappeared, because once words enter pop culture, they tend to stay there. But if one lyric could divide listeners, the next song landed an artist in court.
Maybe get a blister on your thumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger.
Number 10, Suicide Solution, Ozzy Osbourne, 1980. The 1980s loved moral panic, and few artists were targeted more than Ozzy Osbourne. After the tragic death of a teenager, grieving parents blamed Suicide Solution. Lawsuits followed, news stations exploded, religious groups demanded action. Critics claimed the song encouraged self-destruction. Ozzy insisted they misunderstood everything. According to him, the song was actually about alcohol addiction, a warning, not encouragement. But during the era of satanic, nuance didn't matter. Fear sold headlines. And strangely enough, the backlash only made Ozzy more legendary. But if Ozzy faced courtroom controversy, the next rocker found himself misunderstood by an entire nation. Number 9, Born in the U.S.A., Bruce Springsteen, 1984. Few songs in history have been misunderstood quite like this one. Politicians blasted it at rallies. Crowds waved flags. People treated it like pure patriotism. But listen carefully, really carefully, because beneath the giant chorus was heartbreak. Born in the USA wasn't celebration, it was criticism. A painful reflection on how Vietnam veterans were treated after coming home. Bruce Springsteen rapped protest inside Stadium Rock, and somehow millions missed the message. That misunderstanding became part of the song's legacy. A song about pain, mistaken for pride. But if Bruce sparked political confusion, the next song inspired conspiracy theories. Number 8, In the Air Tonight, Phil Collins, 1981. If you grew up in the 80s, you probably heard the rumor. The story claimed Phil Collins witnessed a drowning, that someone stood by and let a man die. And somehow, this haunting song was his revenge. Creepy, mysterious, completely unforgettable. There was just one problem. None of it was true. Phil Collins later dismissed the story completely. The song actually came from personal pain, heartbreak, and frustration during divorce. But by then, the myth had already taken on a life of its own. Proof that mystery can sometimes make music immortal. Still, rumors were one thing. The next song actually got banned.
You were drowning, I would see your face before my friend.
Number 7, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 Cost, Pink Floyd, 1980. We don't need no education, simple words, massive consequences. What started as a rebellious anthem against rigid schooling became something much bigger. In South Africa, students adopted the song during protests against apartheid. Authorities responded by banning it. Teachers called it dangerous. Students called it freedom. The irony? A song originally written as satire transformed into a real-world anthem of resistance. Because sometimes, music escapes the artist and belongs to the people. But if classrooms feared Pink Floyd, the next artist terrified parents and changed the music industry forever. Number 6, Darling Nikki, Prince, 1984. One song. That's all it took. When Tipper Gore heard her daughter listening to Prince's Darling Nikki, she was horrified.
I knew a girl named Nikki. I met her in a hotel lobby, masturbating with my...
The sexual lyrics sparked outrage. Debates exploded. Parents demanded action. And soon,
the PMRC was formed.
magazine. She said, how'd you like to waste some time?
the result? The now famous parental advisory sticker.
Yes.
That little warning label on albums? You can partly thank Darling Nikki for that.
Took me to her castle and I just couldn't believe my...
But Prince, he never apologized. He kept being Prince, bold, mysterious, fearless. And somehow, the controversy only made him more iconic. But if Prince scandalized America, the next rock anthem took its fight directly to Congress.
Nikki started to grind.
Number 5, We're Not Gonna Take It, Twisted Sister, 1984. At first, critics dismissed it. Just loud guitars, big hair, cartoon rebellion, nothing serious. Then came the PMRC hearings. Suddenly, lawmakers accused the song of encouraging violence. But they made one mistake. They underestimated Dee Snider, the Twisted Sister frontman appeared before Congress, calm, sharp, articulate, and completely dismantled assumptions about heavy metal. The hearing backfired. Fans rallied behind the band, and We're Not Gonna Take It became something bigger than rock. A symbol of artistic freedom. Parents tried to silence it. Instead, everyone turned the volume up. But controversy in rock didn't stop there, because the next song crossed a line even many fans couldn't defend. Number 4, One in a Million, Guns N' Roses, 1988.
But this is called One in a Million. Come out sometime, probably a fucking year from now. No.
Even by 1980s rock standards, this one felt explosive. When Guns N' Roses released One in a Million, backlash hit immediately. Critics accused the lyrics of racism, homophobia, and xenophobia. Frontman Axl Rose defended it as storytelling, a character perspective, but many listeners weren't convinced. Debates erupted. Fans split into camps. Some defended artistic freedom. Others said the song crossed the line completely.
I found it down to 6 in LA. Could be my way.
Eventually, it disappeared from later reissues. Proof that rebellion has limits, even in rock and roll. And speaking of controversy, the next songs caused even bigger chaos.
Go change today. Don't need to buy none of your.
Number 3, Like a Prayer, Madonna, 1989. There are controversial songs, and then there's Madonna. By the late 1980s, she had already mastered the art of pushing boundaries. But Like a Prayer, that was something else entirely.
I close my eyes. Voice feels like flying.
First listen, it sounded spiritual, powerful, almost sacred. But then came the music video. Burning crosses, religious imagery, a saint who appeared to come alive, and themes that critics called provocative and blasphemous. Religious groups exploded with outrage. Protests erupted. Television networks debated whether the video had gone too far. Even Pepsi found itself caught in the storm. After featuring Madonna in a major commercial campaign, backlash forced the company to pull the ad almost immediately. But controversy only fueled the fire. Like a Prayer became one of the defining songs of the decade, because Madonna understood something better than almost anyone else. Shock gets attention. But unforgettable music? That's what makes people stay. And if Madonna challenged religion, the next song challenged fear itself. Number 2, Fight the Power, Public Enemy, 1989.
Forever the blight of racial inequity. By 11:30, it in one cause, to urge Congress to pass a civil rights bill to end.
The late 1980s weren't just about excess. They were about frustration. And no song captured that anger more fiercely than Fight the Power.
Than the most optimistic forecasts. Now there's a growing animation. Police attribute this to the fact that for the first time in 30 years, you couldn't even buy.
Loud, unapologetic, explosive. Public Enemy didn't care about playing it safe. This wasn't music designed to comfort people. It was designed to wake them up. The song confronted racism, inequality, and power structures head-on. Some radio stations hesitated. Critics called it divisive. Others called it revolutionary.
1963, Democracy Speaks in a mighty voice. Washington, D.C.
For millions of listeners, especially young people, it became something bigger than music. It became a voice, a movement, a demand to finally be heard. And decades later, its message still feels uncomfortably relevant.
We ain't going out like that 63 nonsense. We're gonna get what we got to get. Coming to us, word up.
But if Fight the Power sparked political fire, the number 1 song on this list sparked something even bigger. National outrage, Senate hearings, and a cultural battle that changed music forever. Darling Nikki, Prince, 1984. Yes, we're coming back to this one. Because no controversial 80s song changed the music industry quite like Darling Nikki. In 1984, Prince released a song that many parents found shocking. Its sexual themes ignited outrage. But one listener changed everything.
I knew a girl named Nikki, I guess you could say. She said, how'd you like to waste some time? And I could not.
Tipper Gore, wife of future Vice President Al Gore, reportedly heard her daughter listening to the track. She was outraged, and that outrage sparked action. Soon, the Parents Music Resource Center, or PMRC, began pressuring the music industry to crack down on explicit lyrics. Artists fought back, musicians testified, free speech debates exploded, and eventually, a new label appeared on albums.
She said, sign your name on it.
You know it, you've seen it. Parental advisory, explicit content, one song, one controversy, and suddenly, music censorship became national news. But Prince? He stayed exactly who he was, fearless, uncompromising, and completely unforgettable. Because if the 1980s taught us anything, it's this. The songs people try hardest to silence are often the ones history remembers most.
Whatever you wanna cry. Thank you for a funky time. Call me up.
The 1980s weren't just loud, they were fearless. These songs didn't simply entertain us. They challenged us, they angered parents, confused politicians, started protests, inspired lawsuits, and opened conversations the world wasn't always ready to have. Some artists were criticized, some were banned, some became legends. But every single one of these songs proved one thing. Controversy doesn't destroy music. Sometimes it makes music immortal.
I saw this down to 6 in LA. How could be my way?
Now we want to hear from you. Which of these controversial 80s songs shocked you the most? And which one do you think deserved the backlash? Or didn't deserve it at all? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this trip back in time, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more nostalgic deep dives right here on Retro Replay. Until next time, keep the memories spinning.
Oh, Lord.